Okay, and we're rolling. I'm here today with Justin Stevens.
Hey, everybody.
Justin, buddy. Honestly, man, great to see you again. Justin's an old friend of mine. I honestly probably haven't talked to him in years, man. I mean, we bumped into each other at a couple friends' weddings and things like that. But I used to like hang out religiously with this guy in our crew. We have a group called like the South Boys. Well, it's called the South Boys in our WhatsApp chat. It was
With the
like,
Z.
With the Z? Okay, there you go. Yeah. So South Boys. And Justin was like a part of my life in my 20s anyway, and things like that. But life happens. People shift gears, move in different directions and whatnot. But I always knew Justin would be a great guy to podcast with, and he was in my back pocket there. And I'm like, hey man, we're doing this. So,
we're still friends. We're still buddies. We might not see each other as often, but I mean, like,
you're just a good guy, man.
You're a bro for life. I don't care what anybody says about you.
She was not like making out now, or what?
No. I think that your girl would be a little upset that I'm a better kisser.
I'll leave her. I'll leave her right now. No. Yeah. So Justin right now he's a work history in back of house, front of house, hospitality altogether. He's been bartending. He's worked kitchen. He took a hiatus and worked as an optometrist salesman guy.
Yeah, I was basically just like selling frames and glasses for Hakeem Optical there for a little bit, but wasn't quite the thing that I thought I was going to get into. And yeah, so I went back to the industry, as we call it.
Right. Okay, so Justin's back in the industry right now. No shame in that at all. I mean, I'm a bar owner myself here, but open up. Oh, and a bar update. We're aiming again to open now in April. Okay, could be the beginning of April, middle of April. There's been so many just hoops to jump through. So for the people who've been waiting eagerly, we love you, and we will be open soon. All right.
Anything worth having is worth waiting for. So
yeah, I think so. I'm not a man of patience, but
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's to be honest, my anxiety's been like pretty up there. But anyway, back to Justin for a second. Justin is a huge sports nut, all right, to say the least. Like what I always loved about him was that guy's down for a good time watching like many sporting events. And like, he's not that guy that just watches it like, I just like to be a part of some kind of fucking sporting event here. No, like he knows what the fuck's going on. But his biggest thing is football. Like, Justin, I'm going to have to make you show the people that tattoo there.
Oh, man. Okay. Forgive me for my hairy belly if you see it when I pull up my sweater.
We're talking about some devotion here, people. So he loves Tom Brady. He loves the Patriots. He's a big NFL football guy. But just fucking show the people that. This guy's rocking Bill Belichick all over his arm as a sleeve. He's got Tom Brady on there as well. And who's the other player there?
So I got Teddy Bruschi.
Teddy Bruschi, linebacker.
For quite a few years. Got Julian Edelman making a big Super Bowl catch.
There you go.
Got Adam Vinatieri doing the game-winning kick of the first Super Bowl the Patriots won.
Yeah.
We got Amanda here. She was a Patriot cheerleader for a long time.
Patriots cheerleader on there as well.
Tom Brady.
And the man Bill Belichick. That's a solid Bill Belichick. Oh, hey, sorry, you're out of focus there. Just there you go. Okay, that's perfect view, Justin. When I knew Justin, all he had was the Patriots flag. That's all he had. But now the sleeve is warped into this beautiful work of art. You should plug your tattoo artist right now.
Oh yeah, his name is.
Oh, talking to the mic right there.
My tattoo artist, his name is Jimmy Mukaspeni. He works out of Immaculate Concept from last time I saw him. He could have moved studios from last time I checked, but if you just Google or Instagram Jimmy Mukaspeni.
Jimmy Mukaspeni?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jimmy Mukaspeni.
I pronounced that right? I don't know if I can spell that right.
I hope I'm pronouncing it right. It's been a long time since I've seen the guy, honestly, but he's a good dude, super nerd, like into like Star Wars and Marvel and all that crap. And on top of that, he does like what would you call it? You know how medieval times has like those night fights and stuff like that?
No way.
Like, yeah, he's like into that shit too.
Fuck.
And
like participating
like
in it?
participates
No way.
full armor and swords and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so yeah, he's a pretty badass guy, to be honest with you. And he actually has his daughter that works out of his tattoo studio too. And she's probably like, let's see, I got this tattoo about 3 years ago. So she's probably 12 or 13 at this point, but she's already doing tattoos.
Oh,
and
really?
She's insane. Like, I saw her, like, she would just doodle when her dad was doing like the tattoos and stuff, and I saw her doing like Futurama and stuff like
Sick.
that, like simple cartoon stuff. But if she's anything like her dad, she's gonna be fucking going places. That's for sure.
Okay, I gotta ask though, Justin, would you be comfortable with a 12-year-old tattooing you? Like, you'd be comfortable with her tattooing you? It sounds like. Or still,
I would
like...
have to see their what's it called, portfolio first. But yeah, I mean, like, I guarantee that she's a better drawer than me.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely better than me. No questions about it.
All right, that's fascinating. Like, I actually drew a bit myself when I was a kid. Nah, I'll go on a limb and say I was pretty good. I mean, maybe I'll show some of my art in my social media one day. But the pressure of doing that live with ink, that's when I'm like, I don't know if I could pull that off, you know, because you basically can't make mistakes, really, right? Like, I mean,
you can make mistakes, and like my artist Jimmy, he was actually tattooed for like head to toe, like he was bald and his whole thing is tattooed.
Yeah.
And he let his daughter work on him a lot for the most part, because like he doesn't give a fuck, because if it
No
looks
way.
bad, it's gonna get lost in all the stuff that he's already got. And I didn't really know this when you got tattoos, that you can just get them covered up with another tattoo pretty easily.
Okay, but what did his daughter draw on him? Like,
On
was it
him,
good?
yeah, it was
So,
like a simple anime thing, almost like I don't know what anime it was from, but it kind of looked like the ghosts from Pac-Man. You know what I'm saying? Like Inky, Blinky, and Clyde, like those guys, but
okay.
not quite as detailed. But no, she's good. Like, she's gonna have her own studio one day, and she'll probably maybe even just get out of the whole tattoo thing, just go straight to art and make some real motherfucking money.
Is she like how good are we talking is her art? Because we have a whole wall at Kaks bar right now. We're looking for artists right now.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Is either graffiti art or straight painting or chalk art. But it's a big canvas, and so local artists out there, reach out. We're looking for people, and you can put your work up there and get some advertising for yourselves. But maybe we'll talk off air on that here, because like I am looking for artists, and maybe there's some kind of law of attraction shit happening here, because I was literally thinking about that, and then you said this, but then I was thinking in my head like, okay, but she's 12.
Like, but from what I saw,
she's awesome. She's awesome. Like, you know,
what I saw, she could be like drawing for The Simpsons or Futurama or any of like those adult animated shows. She could easily be drawing for them. Like,
okay, we'll talk off air on that.
Yeah.
Justin, I want to dive a bit into first, like, where did your love for the Patriots come from and Tom Brady? Because, you know, you were born in Alberta, small town. Which town again?
I was born in Stettler, raised in Erskine, and then moved around Alberta all over, and ended up going to high school in a small town called Coaldale outside Lethbridge.
Outside Lethbridge. All right.
Yeah.
And then I met you when you came to Calgary. You were like young when I met you. I think you might have been like only 19 or like
18, 19, I would have been. Yeah. My brother called me up after I had graduated, and he said that he and his buddies were renting a house and they needed one more person. He was like, "Do you want to come live in Calgary?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, let's get out of Lethbridge and out of my parents' like backyard type deal and go live the dream, essentially." And
yeah,
been living it ever since, I guess.
What a ride that part was.
Oh man, that house was just such a party house. It was insane.
Yeah. All right, but to go back, like, okay, so did you grow up playing football? Okay.
So
you
I actually didn't get into playing football until I started watching football, actually.
Okay.
So I'll get into the whole story of how I
Let's hear
became
it.
like a Patriots fan. So my dad is a big sports fan as well. Probably not quite as big as me, but still a fairly serious sports
Which
fan.
sports?
He's a football, hockey, baseball, golf guy.
Yeah.
Whereas I'll watch all of that, but like if there's nothing good on, I'll fucking watch figure skating or equestrian, like just some sort of competition.
Sick.
So anyways, one year for Father's Day, I remember I bought my dad an Edmonton Oilers clock. And I thought it was like a really nice clock. I was working at this hockey card and collectibles shop, and I saw this clock. I was like, I'll get this for my dad, and he'll love it. And he did, honestly. He enjoyed it. He still hangs it up in the house today. But before I gave it to him, my mom told me, she's like, did you know that your dad's actually a bigger football fan than he is a hockey fan? So,
CFL or NFL?
CFL.
Okay.
My dad was never into the NFL until I got into the NFL, and I kind of drug him into it, and now he's like, no looking back.
Yeah.
So anyways, when I found that out, I was not a football fan at the time. I would see it on the TV or whatever when they're watching, but all I would see is a bunch of lines, a bunch of numbers, and a bunch of guys. I had no idea like what the whole point was or anything. So
how young are we talking here?
I'm talking, I would be grade 8, grade 9 type deal. That's
teenager.
Right. Teenager. So after this happens, we were just moving to Coaldale from Stettler, and they were having tryouts for the football team. And my neighbor who I had met, who lived across the street, he was a year younger than me, but he was already on the football team, and he invited me out. And I was like, this would be a good way for me to get closer to my dad, and I can learn the game and stuff like that. And after my first practice, I was hooked. I was just like,
what'd you play? What position?
Well, when I started out, the weird thing was because I started later in that age group. So I was bigger than a lot of the kids, but I'd never played before. So they put me on the offensive line, and I actually played center.
Okay.
So
is that the guy that huts the ball?
That's the guy that snaps the ball to the quarterback.
I'm not as into football as you, but like but we'll, as we discussed, like I do have a insane, profound respect for Tom Brady, which we'll get into, but go on here.
So yeah, I played center when we were on offense. So I'd snap the ball, and then I'd block guys to make sure that they don't hit the quarterback. And then on defense, I would play outside linebacker. So basically my job is to, if the running back's coming out the outside, you go and hit the guy with the ball is basically a linebacker job. So yeah, after my first practice, I had learned didn't learn everything, but I learned enough to get by. And I was like, oh, I'm actually pretty decent with pushing these kids around, and it doesn't hurt nearly as bad as I thought it was going to. And
again, you're a teenager at this point.
Yeah.
You're not thinking like grown ass men size.
No,
right?
no, yeah. So
the same, like, how big's the center in like your average NFL team? Like,
280 to 300 pounds
Jesus
type deal. Like, not everybody's like huge in the sense that they're tall, but they're all huge in the sense that they are fucking muscled and they're heavy, right?
Yeah.
Like, you get a center who's probably my height, but then they'll have a good 100 pounds in that. 90%.
They're literally sumo wrestlers.
Yeah,
like
they literally are sumo wrestlers.
Move, like just popping off and shoving a guy or whatever.
Some of them will actually bring in like sumo coaches, like, and stuff like that to help teach the offensive line and stuff.
Really?
Because that
makes sense.
Sumo and offensive line, they are very similar in the sense where it's a lot of slapping, not slapping of the head in football, but you can do that in sumo. But there's no grabbing, like no physically grabbing and throwing somebody. You have to just use your strength and push. So if sumo wrestlers wanted to come over and play in the NFL, I'm sure there's a few of them that could, but why would you? Because they get treated like gods over there already.
Is that really the reason, you think? Literally, they don't want to cross over because they're just so revered over there?
Well, yeah.
Because it's the same literal techniques almost, except, well, different, but there's a lot of crossover, if you will.
Very much so. Like low position, center of gravity, get under the other guy, push him as far away type deal. They are very similar in that sense. But I know that in Japan, they're kings there. Like the sumo wrestlers are the quarterbacks there, right? Like they make tons of money. They get all the babes and stuff like that, which you think oh, big fat guy, he's not going to get anything. But have you actually like YouTubed and Googled some sumo stuff?
You might have started a new fetish for me here.
No, man. Like, I didn't even think that I would be into it or whatever. I just saw it randomly on, I think maybe even a Joe Rogan podcast. And he was like, look at this. And you watch and you're just like, holy shit, this is not what I thought it was. Because you would, on TV, you see the stomp. And then like, it's like 2 seconds of push. But no, these guys are like full bore, like bulls charging head to head, hitting each other, slapping each other in the face. Oh my God, I love it.
All right. Okay, so keep going. So you're a teenager. You were kicking ass as a center.
Right.
How did that evolve? You got your dad now hooked into NFL versus CFL.
Yes.
Which I want to hear your opinion real quickly. Like, do you obviously love the CFL as well?
I love all football. It doesn't matter, indoor, outdoor, CFL,
okay, so
NFL, college.
Educate me here. Like, I know the CFL are athletes for sure. You know, I've met a bunch of Stampeders as well. I'm like, no, solid guys.
Yeah.
But is it, and I know the NFL is a different game, different dimensions of the size of the field and like all that, but your average NFL player is just like way bigger from what I understand, right? Like it's just like a different physical.
They are definitely bigger on average. I'm not going to say that they're like every NFL player is going to be bigger than every CFL player, but it's just another step. It's another level. Like doing mixed martial arts and stuff like that, there's always like another level to get to, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, people will just get to a maximum level and they can't get any further than that. It doesn't matter how hard they try, how hard they work, change their diet, doesn't matter. It's just the way the nature intended it.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are born fucking gladiators. Like you can see the genetics in it, right?
Yeah,
sad to say that a lot of the NFL, NBA, all these super athletes we find, a lot of it has to do with the fact that slavery was a big thing back in the day. Like when they would bring over the Africans and bring them to African America, it's just like, well, we need fucking people who lift big things and we don't want to do it. So we're going to get the big woman and the big man. We're going to get them to breed together or whatever. They're going to make the giant slave who's going to do everything for us. And
I think they did that in China too, actually. I think that's no, I might be wrong here. I might be talking on my ass, but I think Yao Ming had some kind of like intentional breeding thing happen go down there. I really think I could be wrong, but I think I'm right on that. But go on there.
So yeah, that's how I see it. It's just like these people were just like who are in the NFL. They just have a better genetics and all that. They're faster, they're bigger, they're stronger. And I'm not saying that CFL guys can't make the NFL. There's a guy, Alex Singleton, used to play for the Stampeders, was a linebacker. Just yesterday signed a 4-year, $18 million deal with Denver. And so,
well, obviously we had some good quarterbacks go down to NFL, like Doug Flutie, and didn't Dickerson play in NFL too for a little bit there?
Doug Flutie's actually American. He just came and played in the CFL because. Actually, he was a fantastic quarterback, but lots of people in the inside football didn't like him because he I think he's roughly my height now.
He's a small guy.
Yeah, he's only 5'10", 5'11", and the average quarterback you want to be 6'3", because you want them to be able to see over their offensive linemen because they're all fucking grizzly bears, right? And if you can't see over them, you can't hit your receiver with a good throw, right? So everyone always thought like, well, we need a bigger quarterback. And that's been the same knock on, well, guys like Russell Wilson, Johnny Manziel, all these guys who can scramble and they do these fun little plays. But
you're right. They probably could have avoided that if they just was able to see.
Exactly.
See
like they're like highlights of Johnny Manziel back in college where he would literally jump and then throw because he was just so short and everyone else was so much bigger than him. But oh my God, so entertaining. So anyways, that's how I compare the NFL to the CFL. It's just like the tier. It's just another tier of athlete. They're so much better.
And plus there's different rules. So it's a different strategy, like different game in some way. The ball size is different too and everything from what I understand.
The ball in CFL is bigger. The field in the CFL is bigger, especially the end zone. You could probably fit 2 end zones of the NFL's end zone into the CFL end zone. And yes, there's a lot different strategy in the NFL compared to CFL because CFL you only get 3 downs to get 10 yards, whereas NFL you get 4 downs to get 10 yards. And people don't think that it's that big of a deal, but it is huge. Like if the NFL played CFL rules, nobody would ever get a touchdown because the defenses are too good. They need that extra down to get those extra yards. At the same time, CFL should be more of a passing game, because you have limited chances to get those 10 yards. So when I first came into football, like grade 9 or whatever, my coach always said, if we can run the ball 3 yards every time, we'll be happy, because you should on average get a first down then. But I mean, no one's going to risk 3 downs every time, because if you turn the ball over, then you're in terrible territory and you give up points that way.
Go for the fucking touchdown. All right, keep going, man. Okay, so how does this transition to Master Brady coming into your life?
So after I got into actually playing footballs, because our football when we play is during the summer and a little bit in the fall, because it's too cold for us to play up here in Canada all year.
Mhm.
So when our off season happens in high school, or was I even high school? No, it wouldn't have been high school ball. It was just Alberta ball at this point. Either way, I was like, I'm going to get into football. I'm going to learn more about it or whatever. And this is the time, kids, before you had things like NFL Game Pass. You didn't have the ability to stream your favorite teams or whatever. I was lucky enough that my parents were well off. We had satellite TV. So when you got to watch football, you had your choices of favorite. Well, you could choose any team to be your favorite, but the ones you could constantly watch were Seattle, New England, and Buffalo. Those were the two. And then in the afternoons, you could always catch Dallas because Dallas has always been such a popular team. I knew I didn't want to be a Dallas fan because
Which channels were you watching back then?
so they would all be different Sportsnet ones. It'd be like Sportsnet Ontario,
And
Sportsnet
I didn't
West.
realize that. So NFL, those were the 4 teams primarily it focused more on. It's just because Calgary's located in that.
Yes,
this
Seattle
section.
is like right there, right underneath Calgary type
See,
deal.
I didn't know that. I have my knowledge on the sports I'm into, and I do enjoy watching football, especially like Super Bowl time. But I got more into that recently. Like when you and I were first getting to know each other, I was not into football at all. But over the years, yeah, that the fucking Tom Brady and everything just kind of won me over like crazy. But keep going.
So yeah, you had Seattle, Buffalo, New England. Seattle because of the Calgary thing we just said. Buffalo, New England, even Detroit to a aspect because you could just cross the river and you could go watch a game. And those of you being able to watch your team. Crazy as it sounds, the first game I ever watched, I was like, I'm going to watch this New England Patriots versus the New York Jets. In that game, Tom Brady wasn't even starting. Tom Brady hadn't even established himself as a starter at this point. He
was chubby back then, right? We're talking about chubby Tom Brady here.
Chubby for an athlete,
Chubby
we'll
for
say.
an athlete. Yeah, because he morphed into like this angled face
supermodel.
supermodel.
Model, yeah.
But before he had a chubby face.
Yeah, most definitely. So he wasn't even like wasn't even a somebody at this point. Drew Bledsoe was the quarterback for the Patriots at the time. He was the number 1 overall pick in the 1996 draft. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. But either way, he was the number 1 pick. He was a stud quarterback, Pro Bowler, making tons of money. I think he had the largest NFL contract at the time for a quarterback. So anyways, I'm watching this game, and I believe it's in the second quarter where Drew Bledsoe is making a play. He can't make a pass, so he comes out to the outside and starts scrambling. And a linebacker from the Jets, I want to say his name is Mo Lewis. I'm pretty sure his name is Mo Lewis. Just absolutely leveled Drew Bledsoe and took him out of the game. And like,
we're talking about like an Antonio Brown style hit.
Yeah, we're talking like, oh my goodness, don't want to go through that again. Don't want to see that again type deal.
Yeah.
And then out comes the legend, the future GOAT, Tom Brady. Nobody knows about this kid.
Yeah.
And I remember them talking about him like this guy was the 199th pick overall in the draft.
Fuck.
I remember saying to myself, like, this is my guy. If this guy can be like that late of a pick and he can go out there and he still has confidence to like lead a team and stuff like that.
So he just had that it factor that affected you as well, just from first observation. You're like,
it wasn't even like
something
seeing him. It was just the way that the announcers were talking, like, don't even bother thinking about this guy, whatever, like 199th pick. And I was just like, what? Well, he had to have done something to have gotten this far. I thought like
it resonated with you a bit.
Yeah,
that
it did. It was like,
story.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, okay, well, I'm going to support this guy. I hope he does well. I honestly don't even know if
I'm going to support this guy. I hope he does well.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, fast forward.
Yeah. And then lo and behold, did like, I ever hit
like
the
a nice
fucking lottery.
Parent. You're like, oh, we'll just cheer for Tom
Brady.
Brady,
or is Bikram like Brad Tommy?
Yeah.
Brad Tommy?
Tommy.
So yeah, he just resonated with me. And then he went and he goes and they start winning games. And
how did he do in that first game though? Like,
the first 3
make an impact, or
he wasn't the Tom Brady we know and beloved today. That's
but was there
sure.
some trickling of his greatness being shown, just a little bit?
Like, you could see bits and pieces. Like you could see that he had a grasp of the game. He knew what the game plan was. This time they didn't have the greatest team either. They had a fantastic defense, but it was just a bunch of bums on offense for the most part, other than Tom and Deion Branch and Corey Dillon, who was a stud running back. I don't even think Corey Dillon was there at the time. I think they traded for him later. So anyways, after that game, I don't even think they won that game, but they go on and they have a fantastic season, and they go into the playoffs, and then Drew Bledsoe gets healthy. So there's a big quarterback controversy. Like,
and at this point, Tom's been kicking some ass a little bit.
Tom's been kicking ass.
Yeah, growing, evolving. Yeah,
and people are supporting him. Like, and
I love that we call him Tom, like first name basis.
He's my man, Tom. You know that you're my boy. No matter what, we're always first name basis. So yeah, controversy. Half the people are like, we got to go back to Drew. He's proven himself over the years that he's a really good quarterback.
He's the most paid guy right now.
Highest paid guy. That's another thing in athletics. Like you play your guys who are getting paid. You don't want to pay a guy and then have him sit on the bench. Like owners
big country from fucking Vancouver Grizzlies.
Exactly. Holy fuck. You don't want to pay him a shit ton and then watch him on the sideline and just like get voice or whatever you call it, sound bites out of a guy. You don't want that. So Bill Belichick, the head coach, has to make a huge decision whether he's going to take and play Drew Bledsoe or Tom Brady.
Emperor Palpatine himself.
Yeah, the Emperor himself.
Yeah. Oh, we're just saying your tattoo does make Bill Belichick look like Emperor Palpatine.
Does he ever?
With his hoodie on.
He's got the dark side look to him, you know.
Good.
Yes. So Bill ends up deciding going with the new kid. He's like, Brady's gotten us here. We don't know if we would have even got here if it wasn't for Brady.
That must have pissed off the other guy.
Drew actually took it like a champ. Oh. He was very supportive of Tom the whole time. I actually have a good Drew story for you at the Super Bowl. So they go in the playoffs. They do really well. Eventually, it's the AFC Championship game. The AFC Championship game, you win that, you go to the Super Bowl. Tom Brady gets hurt during the AFC Championship game, so he can't play the rest of the game, and Drew has to come in and he plays.
What kind of injury? I'm a little curious here. What would take down the man?
I think it was a hand injury.
Oh
man, I've watched so many Patriots games. It's all just like, I don't know exactly.
Like he couldn't grip that deflated football properly.
Oh my God. We're not even going to bring that up. But yeah, so Drew comes in and he lights up the Pittsburgh Steelers and they win. And then it's another controversy.
Right.
Drew got us to the Super Bowl, but Brady got us here,
it's
whatever.
Like you're dating two hot chicks now.
Exactly.
Who do I go with?
Oh my God. And can't do the classic sitcom. Well, I'll just take them both at the same time and hopefully they don't run into each other. Shit don't work like that. They're going to run into each other.
Yeah.
So anyways, it all comes down to the Super Bowl. This is a huge Super Bowl, by the way, because they're going up against the St. Louis Rams, Kurt Warner, Torrey Holt. Oh, my God. Why am I blanking on the running back's name right now? Marshall Faulk. One of the greatest, most entertaining offenses in NFL history. A little backstory to this as well. You have to remember, this is the season that Katrina happened.
Okay. Yeah.
So the hurricane took out everything in New Orleans, and the Super Bowl was played in New Orleans that year. So they go in there and they for the media week, the week leading up to the Super Bowl, they're all talking about the Patriots and how they stand no chance against the greatest show on turf. That's literally what they were called. There's
another underdog story.
Oh, super underdog story. Like, oh my God. On
top of it, you have the drama with the fucking two stud prom queens or whatever.
And then the original TB12 during that week, Terry Bradshaw also wore number 12.
Oh yeah,
he was the original TB12.
Wait, he was the dad on Failure to Launch.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
That's where I know him from.
So also fantastic quarterback who's won a couple Super Bowls, Hall of Famer, by the way.
Yeah, he's all right.
During that week, he comes out and says, during this year and this season, everything that's happened in America, how could you not cheer for a team called the Patriots? And it was just like, oh man, like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, so we get to the Super Bowl, super fucking close game. It's tied or Patriots are losing by one. I can't remember. Last drive of the game, Tom Brady, you're down at your 18-yard line. You got to drive it fucking 70, 60 yards so you get a game-winning field goal potentially. That wasn't the plan originally. Charlie Weiss, the offensive coordinator, went up to Tom Brady and was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run the ball. We're going to run the clock out, and we're going to go for overtime. We're going to play it like that.
Play it safe.
Yeah, we're going to play it safe, play for overtime. Apparently, Drew Bledsoe had overheard this conversation with Tom Brady and Charlie Weiss, and after Charlie goes and walks away, Drew goes up to Tom and he says, hey, man, don't listen to him.
Why don't they have Drew in there at this point?
Because they've decided to go with Tom for the Super Bowl because Tom was healthy enough to play in the Super Bowl after the AFC Championship injury.
Okay, go on.
So Drew hears this and he goes up to Tom after and he's like, hey, man, don't listen to Charlie. Even though Charlie's fucking brilliant offensive coordinator, he goes, just go out there and fucking sling it. And that's exactly what Tom's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And it's just like, not
Magic.
Even like huge
magical.
play, not huge plays at all. They're just like dink and dunk. Here's my running back. There's my tight end for 5 yards. There's my wide receiver for 10 yards.
That's literally what he does.
That is literally what he does.
Does.
Drives him, and yeah, the rest is history. Drives him down the field. Adam Vinatieri hits the clutch field goal, and that's the beginning of the GOAT story, right? Like so that's how I got into football, into Tom Brady. That was my first year watching football.
And that was it.
And then I was like,
you're like, this guy's the man.
That's my boy. That's my team for life. And I've always been like if you declare that that's your team for life. I don't care if they're good, they're bad.
Oh my God, you're one loyal soldier, bro.
Man, when I got into hockey, I was like 5 years old. And the only reason I chose the Ducks as my hockey team is because
you watched the Mighty Ducks.
Well, the movies, and I was 5 years old and I liked Ducks. I was like, fuck yeah. And also, my mom was a Flames fan. My dad's an Oilers fan. I wasn't going to choose one of them. Pick sides,
man, dude. I wish I had that same because again, football's not my main forte, but I do have my sports that I love, MMA, mixed martial arts, like combat sports, and then basketball as well. But I couldn't say I would just, hey, the Chicago Bulls were awesome when Michael Jordan played. I'm a Chicago Bulls for life. No, because they went through and had some shitty fucking guys.
Oh yeah,
shitty programs, and I'm like, no, definitely you have a different mentality. But that's one of your strong suits, Justin. Is I've always noticed you're a loyal guy.
To a fault, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been working at the same Boston Pizza for goddamn 15 years.
No, but that's awesome too, because we just know that guy's solid. That no betrayal, fucking in this guy.
Oh no, no, like that would be like. So I don't even like to think about stuff like that.
No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's a good quality, man. But carry on. Okay, so that started the Tom Brady. What about Bill Belichick? Is it how did you have that much respect for him as well?
Well, a lot of it just simply stems from winning. You can't help but respect. We talked earlier before the podcast about John Jones. Might not respect the man so much, but respect the athlete. And the same thing with
John
coaches.
Jones is a saint. Okay. I'm deluded. No, I hated John Jones for years. He almost had the same effect on me as initially. I also I hated Kobe Bryant when he first came into the NBA. I hated Kobe Bryant. I was just look at this knockoff Michael Jordan wannabe guy. Oh, he does the same thing, but with a fro. But as he just kept on winning, again, call me, I don't even know. Just as a classic man, classic, I gotta toss it, throwback style, classic him, I guess.
We like meat and sports.
I'm attracted to just greatness,
success,
but it's not just success. It's not about the money per se. It's just watching that chief alpha ape come through the ranks and just dominate, do shit that you can't do, think of shit that you can't think of, go through adversity that you potentially can't handle. That's a superhero, Mm-hmm. And Kobe proved me the fuck wrong. I have to say, he had his controversies outside of the court, and that was it's weird. But as I watched him just become fucking Kobe Bryant, it was just it just inspired me in my own life, and that's where my love affair with Tom Brady comes from too. I just respected the shit of this guy who's and this sounds kind of weird, but his wife, right, his ex-wife is Tom, don't play football anymore, and he's like that's what I do.
Yeah, that's
Like,
my thing.
Like, it's not only my thing. Like, this is what I do for the world. So you stop being selfish and trying to fucking pigeonhole me for me and our kids. You know, like there's like a billion people out there that I inspire by kicking ass at what I do, and I still have something left. So if you can't understand that, then you ain't the woman for me. And like I kind of like respect that, because I'm like, that is true. Like the foundation for every family, I would imagine, is that man like fulfilling his super potential, you know, because that is what creates the whole thing for everything else, you know. And then she might be like, "Why, you won enough Super Bowls?" It's like, it's never enough.
Yeah.
You know?
Like his famous saying, like people would ask him, "Oh, what's your favorite Super Bowl? What's your favorite Super Bowl ring?" He always his answer, always same time, next one. The next one.
Yeah, man.
That's my favorite.
Well,
Will
that's
be the
why
next
he's
one.
so good. He's obsessed,
Mhm.
and like, and I love that, and like I take that into my own life right now, like just doing what I'm doing with like my business and my health and fitness and this and that. Like I just imagine, like that's what I get touched by, and like that's why I like love Michael Jordan, like Kobe Bryant, you know, Tom Brady, Tony Hawk in the skateboard world, like even Lance Armstrong, like. Yeah, they all cheated,
Well,
but,
yeah,
but he was, but like that was the game, and he was the best at that. I don't know, I'm just gravitated towards greatness, man. But there was a couple of anomalies that rubbed me the wrong way. Like I'm not a big LeBron James guy. I don't like LeBron James. Yeah, he's fucking good. Don't get me wrong, but there's something about the way he's going about it that's rubbing me the wrong way. I mean,
can I make an argument for people who are LeBron James haters?
For LeBron James hater, like
talking
to me.
Well, yeah. To like, I just wanted to like say something that maybe.
Oh, you can tell me as
I
I stop the pot. No, I'm joking. Let's hear it.
So,
because I have a lot of friends that love LeBron. We get into these heated fucking.
And
like,
LeBron, I think LeBron's great. Is he my favorite player? No. Do I think he's better than Jordan? I think they're two different players to compare them. But at the same time, when we measure these elite athletes or we put them on these pedestals and stuff like that, how many of these super athletes have been dubbed like the chosen one, the next one, or anything like that, and then actually gone on and accomplished said thing? The only two that come to mind for me are LeBron James and Sidney Crosby. And Connor McDavid, I should say. These guys are the ones that we've said are going.
Well, Connor McDavid, like, don't you think he should have won a Stanley Cup by now? Like,
I mean, you can only do with what the team gives you, unfortunately. But he's inarguably the best player in the league, no question about it. So,
okay.
On top of that, when it comes to LeBron and controversy, the only controversy I know of LeBron James is maybe his comments when it comes to China. And I don't really want to step into that too much because I don't really know too much about what's going on in China. So I can't really say.
I didn't tell him to say that, China. Oh, sorry.
But he does so many good things for his communities and his cities every time. Like he built that one school in Cleveland where he's paying for every kid to go to school, and then they're post-secondary, and then like they all get bikes and tons of stuff like that. And that has nothing to do with him as a basketball player.
Dude, the guy's not like, look how loyal you are. Look at where he like.
No,
he just jumps ship every second, stacks his team, tries to make it seem like Pippen and Jordan, and then you got Rodman, and then before that his early crew in that early 90s, like that was like a true tribe that came up through the ranks. LeBron just jumps, and he's been so spoiled.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, but you made a point that I have to concede to you. He was placed with that pressure of being the chosen one, and yes, he went and dominated. I just wish he stuck with the guys more, or at least made it more apparent it wasn't a strict business deal. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen formed that super trio, which again, it breaks my heart that they had a falling out. But like there was something that like this natural tribe element, right?
Oh yeah.
LeBron's just kind of like he like did it almost fictionally, like he like chose his tribe. He's like, give me this guy, this guy.
Yeah,
this
it was
guy.
like he was reading a Choose Your Own Adventure book, right?
And I was like, aren't you spoiled enough that you get to like, for fuck's sakes, the All-Star games are called Team LeBron now? But I'm like, still, how many championships you have? I don't see you smoking Steph Curry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and plus just weird shit too that throws me off. Like when his wig fucking fell off in the middle of the game. And I was just kind of like, again, I'm just like, what else isn't fake about you, man? Like, you know, like you're kind of fake. And then like you're that. And then like also like, I don't know, like we all know he's on a massive amounts of every steroid out there, you know, like it's like LeBron's like shrunk in the off season and gets big again. I'm like, is anyone not fucking pointing out the fact that he's like just completely huge into like, you know, like all that steroids and like, unless everyone else is on it again, that's an unfair advantage if the steroid guy's fucking like outplaying you because he's also on EPO and never getting tired. And like, I just don't think Jordan did all that in his era. Or if he did, it might have been very minor. Like,
I don't think that Jordan was doing, but at the same time, was the stuff available as it is, well as it is now?
It probably was, but I don't think it was because right now the science behind that whole world is so dialed in, dude. Like, it's like LeBron probably has a drug for a drug for a drug, right?
Yeah.
You know, like one that gets his fucking like, I need to concentrate, Adderall. I know, blah, blah, blah. Like I could tell he's a walking chemistry machine. And then even that, like he's not dominating the league, you know, like Steph Curry to me is pretty natural. I could be wrong, but he seems natural. He looks the same throughout his evolution.
Well, he's just a skinny shooter and like he's fit. Obviously, you can't not be fit and play in the NBA.
And then there's superficial shit too. Like I love the way Jordan moves, like the way he shoots the ball, like he tilts his body slightly to the right. Like there's a prettiness to his motions, like Steph Curry, that smooth release, like it's like smooth, you know. And then Ray Allen, like don't even start with like fucking Jesus Shuttlesworth, and he got game, like perfect form. I love Kobe's movement. LeBron's has this chunky, like dun, 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 I'm LeBron, dun, dun, like movement.
He's a more powerful player than a lot of these guys were.
He's not as aesthetic in my opinion. Like even the way he takes off for his dunks, like everything's off the left foot, like everything's off that power right, like you know, he doesn't glide in the air as well. I don't know, he's just not as aesthetically, you know, like if I watch them as silhouettes, like without like, you know, the details of their faces, again, like I'm like, look at this chunky, like like heavy-footed movement pattern. I don't know, just not as.
He's just a bigger guy than all those other guys. Like he's got probably like LeBron in his prime compared to Jordan in his prime. LeBron's probably got 20 to 30 pounds on him, right?
Way bigger, but it's just, I don't know. He seems like thuddy. I don't know. I want to call him Elmer Thud. Every time he walks, I'm like, oh, look at Elmer Thud. Like,
it's hard to stay smooth when you're that big, though, right? Like when you like.
Yeah, that's true. Because like Shaq's not smooth. He's chunky, but Shaq was also just so much bigger that it was crazy to watch, right?
It's like comparing a horse to a bull. Like you see a horse in full stride and it's so fucking majestic, right? And everything's smooth and in one motion. Whereas you see a bull, it's power.
But even a bull is smooth in some way. I don't know. Just LeBron. Maybe I just naturally hate him for some reason.
Wow, that could be like some people just hate people that win. And you know what? I can be the first.
That's not
true. No. It is true.
No, like I love Tom Brady. He wins. I love Tiger Woods. He wins. I just don't like that guy for some reason.
There are that guy exceptions to every rule, you know. Yeah. Like
obviously, none of this is personal. I don't know LeBron. He'll never give a shit what I say. I'm a peon compared to him, but. Just compared to the other greats, where I'm just everyone, you know, like if I was in a barber shop and they're whipping out the goats of basketball, I'm like, don't bring that guy into the conversation.
You're not going to put LeBron into the handful.
You got Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Larry Bird,
Larry Bird
Johnson, and you know what's the shitty thing? I want to include Shaq, but I can't because that guy can't make a fucking free throw when it counted, and he had like 20 years to correct that one liability. It was literally a liability. You had to take him out at the end of every game when people are supposed to foul you.
Hack-a-Shaq, boy.
Hack-a-Shaq would have been one of like 10 championships if he made his free throws. Like it's like, and then just the confusion with like, why didn't you? Like you're so privileged. Like put in the hours, just get that one thing right. And every time it was different. He gets a free throw coach. Like, how much you pay that guy to fuck up your shot worse than what it was before? Like,
he should have been just granny shouting. Like, he's
something. But, like, what a liability. You have to take out, like, the most dominant big man. Like, because at the end of every game, like, forget getting Jordan or Kobe to whip up that fucking wicked last-minute jumper. Like, give it to the big guy.
Get him the guy in the paint.
Get an and one. Yeah. But you can't. Even the look on his face, like, oh, I'm not. Oh, like, it's just every time you see, like, he looks 7 feet tall, and then he looks like he's 5 feet by the time he gets to the line because his confidence
Yeah, it
is
just
gone to
shrinks.
shit. You see all the sweat coming down his face every time. I remember looking at my dad. We're both like, "Fuck!" Like every time we're just like again, like we're like, "Here it goes. He got it this year, man." Like no, he did.
See, I wasn't the big basketball fan when Shaq was like in his prime. I got into basketball the time that you were talking about so I became a Celtics fan because of Kobe Bryant.
Because of Kobe?
Because of Kobe. Because
what does that mean?
It's I just didn't like Kobe because I knew how good he was. Like I was saying, sometimes you just hate guys that are really good, right? In my life, I've always been like, I don't want to be like jump on the bandwagon on the really good person or whatever. And lo and behold, I end up Tom Brady's my fucking hero. But that was by fluke.
So that's different. You were there with him from the beginning.
From the beginning,
literally the way you described that game.
But then, so Kobe, I was like, I don't want to support that guy. I want to be the anti-Kobe, not in the sense of like his work ethic or anything, but I want to cheer against that guy. So I remember asking my buddies who were basketball fans, like, who should I cheer for? Like, oh, if you don't like Kobe, then you don't like the Lakers. So you should like the Celtics. And I was like, okay, I'll be a Celtics fan. Makes sense. I'm a New England Patriots guy. Keep with the whole Boston thing going. And that was
you are so Boston, bro.
I know, right?
Actually, the way you carry yourself, like that's their culture over there too. Sports town, they basically keep to their blocks and like loyal to.
Maybe I should move to Boston now.
I think you fit right in.
I probably would. I just need the accent.
And you're also Irish descended, I think.
Yeah, I got a little bit Irish, a little bit of Scottish, a little bit of all
That's your
that.
people, man.
Yeah, give me some whiskey and beer, and we'll have a grand old time. So yeah, that's why I became a Celtics fan, and then they won the championship that year because of fucking KG and Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and Rajon Rondo was my first favorite player when I first started watching. The passes that guy could make, and I hope he coaches one day because he's so fucking smart.
Rajon Rondo's insane too. That Celtics team though, they were like, fuck, I love that squad too, but man, they fell out so hard. Man.
Oh, did they ever?
Like Ray Allen, I think he wouldn't even say hi to Paul Pierce and fucking Kevin Garnett. Like at their last time they met. Like Rajon Rondo used to look up to Ray Allen. That was his hero. Now then they had some beef and I love Ray Allen's my favorite basketball player of all time. It just pains me that I'm like these guys could have won many championships. Fuck, that was like
the beef's been squashed now. Like they actually get along together. Okay, like it's not like they go out of their way to hang out or anything, but they've squashed.
What happened?
I don't know exactly what happened. Like that's the thing. Like I was just getting into basketball when this was all happening, and I think the biggest thing really was when Danny Ainge traded KG and Paul Pierce to the Nets. Like it was a great trade for the Celtics because they ended up getting Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown out of it, which is. Holy shit, insane.
Well, but then Ray Allen got traded all around the league, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he
ended up in Miami.
He won another one in Miami. That was cool. With LeBron, I think, right?
Yeah, with LeBron, with your favorite player in the league, bud.
God, I hate that guy. Well, again, I don't hate him on a personal level.
No, we know it is
something about him just rubs me the wrong way.
The thing that you don't like about him going to other teams, I think, is funny because if you were to compare it to like us in our lives. Would you ever get mad at me for leaving Boston Pizza and going to a different restaurant?
No. You're awesome, Justin. LeBron's a piece of shit.
But that's the thing. We have the choice to go where we can work, whereas they don't really have they have the choice to not play in the NBA if they don't want.
But also with LeBron to touch on, like again, man, like people who love, like I have friends that love him and they want to punch me in the mouth when we get in these kind of fucking conversations. But I don't know. I just think he's also just so manipulated by the political shit that he's clearly trying to fit into as well, you know, like it's and I don't know, because you know one minute he's just so left wing, and then the next minute he's like praising China or whatever, or back, you know, like it's just because he obviously makes all the money from like the amount of people that love his gear over there and everything, and I don't know, he's just a very like he even said in some interview where he's like, you better be nice to everyone because you don't know if you can basically do business with him later in life. And I was kind of like, well, how about just be nice in general and then awesome business deals come from that? You know what I mean? Like
I'm pretty sure he stole that from like Game of Thrones.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Tyrion quote where it's like, be nice to everybody because you never know who you're going to need in the future or whatever.
But look at him. He ends up being the fucking King's Hand super advisor guy. Kind of switching gears. Did you like House of Dragon?
I actually haven't watched House of Dragon because
Oh,
I'm
Justin.
at the whole like streaming thing where it's like streaming is just becoming the new cable, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's just everyone just
Yeah.
buys whatever the fuck they want, but I can't justify myself to have 4 or 5 different streaming platforms, especially when I'm a huge sports fan. Because when I go home, like my setup, I have 3 TVs. I watch my main game with the sound in the center, and then I usually make bets on Sports Select, so I'll have other games on the
Nice.
side that I can pay attention to or whatever.
God, that must be a fucking trip for you, man.
It's great. I love it. Like
Because you get that dopamine from watching sports you like, you get that dopamine from the gambling.
Yeah.
Then you're getting the dopamine from 3 screens simultaneously.
You double down. Yeah, you triple down, I guess. But
you're actually on drugs in a way, sports drugs.
well, that and I'm smoking weed and maybe having some beers or whatever at the same time.
Candy and just fucking loving
it. Like I'm a grown up 11-year-old, bud. Like,
hey man, most men are now. But you like Game of Thrones, right?
Oh yeah, I love
Okay.
Game of Thrones. I just don't have Prime, so that's why I didn't watch it.
It's Crave HBO, sir.
Is it Crave? Okay, my bad. My bad. Hook me up, HBO.
Dude. You should watch House of Dragon. The show is masterpiece.
It's on the list, like everybody always says.
It's only 10 episodes, man.
Only 10?
Yeah, yes, just binge that first season because the next one isn't coming out for another 2 years, I think.
2 years?
Yeah, obviously the book came out, so if you want to spoil it, you'll know what happens. But I didn't read the books, but my sister did, and then but the show, from what I understand, is like the gist of all the main things that happen is still the same, but it also varies just slightly enough to keep you guessing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, I'd watch that one. I think if you love Game of Thrones, it's almost, because you remember how like the last season was kind of not as good as like the rest.
Oh,
like,
do I have opinions on that?
Yeah. So like House of Dragon right now is just prime Game of Thrones. We're talking about like that season 1, 2, and 3, like dialed in writing, dialed in acting, dialed in action sequences, dialed in cliffhangers, dialed in human nature analysis, dialed in sex,
incest.
Yeah, incest. Those Targaryens, fucking dialed in dragon shit. Yeah, no, I House of Dragons is sick, man. It's
okay.
fucking, yeah.
I'll definitely get into that one. What was the other one that I recently was getting into?
So I'm getting a runny nose here. Garage is kind of cold, people. It's one reason why my nose is running. But anyway, go on.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, different show I'm watching right now was Invincible.
Fuck, dude, that thing's so good.
It's very comparable to The Boys, right? But animated. I've only gotten I think 4 or 5 episodes deep into it, but
so good.
It is really good so far.
Fucking good, man. So addictive, so good. So yeah, Invincible blew my mind. I had to take a couple of attempts. My buddy kept telling me, Cass kept telling me to watch it. I was like, I'll get to it. I'm like, a cartoon, like, which again makes no sense. I watched source anime, but I dismissed it for a while, and then during the pandemic, I just one day was like, let's check it out,
dive in, yeah.
And then next, I'm like, 10 hours went by.
Isn't it crazy how that'll happen? Like you will deny, like a lot of times people be like, you gotta watch the show, you gotta, and you'll be like, no, I'm putting it off. I don't have to watch it, and then you will watch it, and you're like, what the fuck was I doing to myself this whole time?
Yeah, and I have no idea why. I've also like remember Breaking Bad. That show?
I didn't watch it.
Oh,
still have never seen a single minute of it, but everyone tells me like, the first 2 episodes are slow, but after that it's like killer.
Yeah, so I fucked up with like the first 4 episodes, in my opinion, didn't get me. Like I was sitting there just like I had to take 3 attempts because everyone's in my ear like talking about it back then, and then I remember just being like, okay, I'll give it a shot, and I'm watching it. I was like, this sucks. I turned it off. Then there's in my ear again. I'm like, hey, and then I got through the first one. I just made myself like sit through it. Then the second one was like, I was like, okay, it's kind of hitting. And the third one again, I was like, starting to like. And then the fourth one, I was just like, and the fifth, it was just like it was a rocket ship.
It was
like,
the full Vince McMahon meme where he's just like,
I don't know which meme you're talking about, but I know I'm a big wrestling guy too. So Vince McMahon, I can only picture like, now, man, I would say the Mount Rushmore TV shows. It goes Breaking Bad, right underneath is House of Dragons, Game of Thrones, and The Wire. Those 3 shows are just like neck and neck. Like I can't tell which one's better. But House of Dragons to me just takes it up. Those 2 is just like I every time I every time I'm even watching an episode where it kind of shows up in my periphery, like if you know, like if I just put it on accidentally or whatever, or like I'm like, you know, I'll just dive back into memory lane here. Like every time I'm fully escaped, like I'm absorbed, like as if Shawn doesn't exist. That's what's going on. Like I don't
This is
know.
the world.
Yeah,
Nothing else exists right now.
Yeah, but Justin, man, like if you can just get House of Dragons and then Breaking Bad, like I think those two things can. If you ever just like,
Oh, Breaking Bad so much though, isn't there? Like 8 seasons of it?
It's a full investment, but it might be one of those where you take a 2-week staycation.
Oh, okay.
Just that's what you're doing. Like the world can keep going. You need to take a 2-week break, like, and just turn off all the lights, have that show going, have your weeds, have your food, and just get immersed into that. Again, first 4 episodes is tough, you know. So you got to put in work. Almost 4 hours of like,
just get through, just power through it, and then it's gold.
It just lands, man. It just and it like it still affects me to this day because you know you think about the character of Walter White and what he went through, and you're like, fuck, man, like that's like every person. Like there's so much you can like relate to their struggle. And don't get me wrong, he's a bad person in that fucking show, right? But he finds a way to make you think about like it's like Thanos from fucking Marvel. Like, is he really a bad guy? I mean, you know, like, massacre half the fucking universe.
Well,
you know?
Those are the best movies with a villain that you can relate to, and you're just like, I kind of have an idea of what. Like, not one of my biggest things is my favorite character in Game of Thrones, who I wanted to win, was Littlefinger. Everybody,
really?
Yes, and that's that's the reaction I get from everyone. It's like, what? Why do you like that guy? Because I can relate to that guy, like really? in the sense
you're
that
more like a Ned Stark to me, man. You're like honorable and loyal.
It's different in the sense, like if I was back in those times, as a fantasy world, people, it didn't happen a long, long time ago.
Are you trying to sleep with some baby mama who's breastfeeding his 15-year-old son?
None of that. It's the fact, like we talk, and I'm a semi decent athlete. I'm no pro athlete. I'm not even an amateur athlete by any means. But if you see how everything gets done in Game of Thrones, you either are born into power or you are strong enough to fight people and work your way up.
That is your people's history.
Well, yeah, that's mine. Well, not quite as much as the Vikings or anything like that. But then
the world was that brutally unfair back then.
Yes.
Like, fuck.
But then you take the character of Littlefinger, who is not super strong. He doesn't have a rich family. He doesn't come from anywhere other than these he's called Littlefinger because of the little islands or whatever that he's from originally.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But he just uses his mind to get into
Why don't
power.
you like Tyrion then?
I do like Tyrion.
Yeah, okay.
I just didn't think that he would ever want the throne. I didn't think that he was ever interested in having the throne.
But Littlefinger was so obsessed with Catelyn Stark, and spoilers if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, but and I don't know, it was just like, why are you so attracted to a bossy cunt?
We don't know how attraction works. Like whenever, like if you ever, you're with a woman right now, and I'm sure at some point she asks you, "Why do you find me attractive?" And it's the most fucking annoying question in the world because it's like, I just do. I can't say.
Actually, her and I, we're definitely two peas in a pod. Yeah, we're awesome.
They're doing good, folks.
Yeah,
but I always hate that question. It's like, oh, what do you want me to say? I like your fucking hair. I like your fucking face. I like every fucking thing about you. That's if I'm attracted to you, that's what it is. I like everything about you. Maybe not your personality, but from what I can see.
Yeah, well, I get what you're saying, and I could kind of relate to that prior to, I guess, meeting my fiance right now. Like, but don't get me wrong, like, fucking life's a funny thing. I'm not, I seriously believe we'll be together for the rest of this life, and but we're mature enough to have conversations about like fucking who the fuck knows what the future holds, right? But for her, I would say there was some next level natural attraction. So in a way, I'm agreeing with what you said, like. Which I don't know. Like, are you a religious guy at all? Like,
I believe in a higher power. I won't say I'm like part of an organized religion or anything like that. I don't believe in organized religion, but I believe in religion as like something for people to hold on to and do good things through.
Okay. I definitely believe in God. Like but it's just moments like meeting Jess. It was just like, I was like, this fits so well. It's exactly what I need, exactly what she needed too. And it's like, how can that be calculated? other than preordained. You know, I don't know. Like that's where I'm like, how could we have calculated this compatibility? Like, and just meeting at a bar.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Like,
That's
it's
where I'm
just
like looking up. Like, come
such
on,
happenstance. So many different things
There's
had
no
to happen.
fucking way I planned that. This is obviously was meant to be. You know, and that's when I'm like, well, what else is meant to be?
It's like I heard a story of this guy. He goes to a mall one day and he's going shopping. One day he comes out of the mall and he goes to his car to unlock his car. Can't unlock his car. Another girl comes up. Turns out they had the same car and that was his car. They end up chatting.
That's his
Lo
wife
and
now.
behold, yeah, they're married now. Whatever. Like who like how many different things had to happen in order for that to happen? Like, oh, I have to have breakfast because I'm hungry. Oh, I don't have any milk. I need to go to the mall because it's the closest to my place and get some milk. And boom,
Fuck, man, you're really gonna love Breaking Bad. They have this one episode. I'm not giving it to, but it's about that. It's like it starts with literally like, like a chick that affects this guy, that affects his job. And then his job affects like a million people.
yeah,
I don't
and it's like leads,
and it's like causes like one of the greatest
big snowball effect, right?
catastrophes where you're like, oh my god, makes you be like, be nice to everyone
Yeah.
because that one guy you fucking or one guy or girl that you might have insulted that day, that might be the trigger to causing the entire world to collapse. Like I don't know. It's but again, it makes you think like, well, fuck, what's in our control? I don't know. It's yeah, it's some deep philosophical shit. But yeah, no, I don't know. But it's, you know, it's just happenstance things like that that completely reinforce my greater belief in a greater power as well. Like, you know, I'm just kind of like, at the end of the day, I've come to accept like I don't know shit.
Yeah. Well, we've been through it like 10 years ago. You don't know what you don't know.
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
one of my
yeah.
favorite sayings.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Like you
Well, yeah, that was something I used to say all the time. Right?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Like yeah. You know what? You don't know what you don't know. Or,
and there are no truer words spoken than that. Like
yeah, and the reality is you always don't know stuff. So like, I think maturity is when you start to realize. Like, I mean, there's a lot of philosophers in the ancient philosophical like literature that always say the same thing. Like you basically realize you've matured when you realize you know nothing, and that you'll always know nothing. Even everything you think you know, it's all relative to whatever fuck's going on at that time. But even that might have no meaning later, 2 seconds. Like, so it's just stay a student like 24/7 and try not to have your ego fucking overwhelm you. But it will from time to time, and then you have to just set it back in motion and you know, put it back in its place and whatnot. You know, it's tricky, man. It's tricky being humble and just like maintain it 24/7. You know, I mean, like, you know, I don't know, man. Like just take a look at like Conor McGregor, man. You know? Yeah, like I fucking love Conor McGregor, but like holy fuck, like it's just he's just all over the place, you know, like lately, you know.
well, he just needs to like get Prozac or something like that. He just needs to chill out for a little bit. Like I love him. I respect him as an athlete. Do I respect him as a person? I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence there with that.
I'm at a point now where I love Conor McGregor, especially when he was coming up. Like I'm so inspired by his story, like from living in
Poverty,
welfare, and his parents' attic to becoming fucking double weight world champion, and just his understandings of things like law of attraction and manifesting, and like, and I love that, and I love that he loves his family. Like he's you know, as far as we can see, but then that the alter ego of Conor McGregor, like where he's going around fucking like just drugged up and
throwing dollies at buses,
and punching old guys out, and like I'm just at a point now with him where I don't ever want to meet him. I don't want to spoil what he does.
Don't meet your heroes.
Yeah, no, there's some heroes I met. They're fucking amazing, you know. But
Conor
McGregor's one that I can already say like
that's the saying, right? Like
I'll support you by drinking your whiskey, which I actually genuinely do enjoy. I like that little vanilla honey little taste and hint in it. It's almost like a modified honey jack.
Oh really?
Yeah. Well, we had the shot at the bar. That was proper 12.
Oh, is that what that was? Yeah, I'm not a whiskey guy by any means. So like I'll shoot whatever anybody puts in front of me. But
I'll support him like that. But right now, I don't want to get to know him like because I don't want that shattered hero thing for him. You know, because like I do think about Conor McGregor quite a lot.
That's why I fear like if I were to ever run into Tom Brady, it's like, do I say hi?
I think he's a safe bet.
Yeah,
I think
I'm pretty confident that he would be a good guy. The fanboy over, and he probably gets it a lot, and he's probably just like, "Oh, nice to meet you," whatever.
I do find like we talked about this earlier, but a lot of geniuses are odd. I've come
Oh,
to
most
realize.
definitely.
Because let's face it, Tom Brady. I didn't realize he basically maybe he all out doesn't eat meat. Like
It's not sugar.
He doesn't eat sugar.
White
I'm
sugar.
pretty sure he doesn't eat meat as well. Because I think I picked up his fitness book.
Oh yeah, you have the TB12 method. I have it too. Yeah.
Not that I don't remember what it was called. Like I didn't buy it. It was a chapters. Just it was a Tom Brady nutrition book, and I went through what he says he eats, and it's heavy plant based.
Oh yeah.
Like but then again, I'm like, where are you getting your fats? Like to produce your testosterone.
Avocado, lots of avocado and nuts and stuff like that. But he does eat meat. It's just not a ton of it. And he's like, no white sugars, no strawberries.
No strawberries.
He just doesn't like strawberries.
Weird. See again.
His aunt used to run like a strawberry farm at the side, like a strawberry stand at the side of a road, and she would bring back strawberries, and they apparently didn't taste very good.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. Like he fucking what else did he do that was kind of odd? Well, there's been a lot of people that I didn't think I would be super fascinated with, but like Nick Diaz is my favorite MMA fighter on top of Conor McGregor. But Nick Diaz is a hardcore. He doesn't eat meat at all.
Oh, really? He's a vegan?
I think he's a vegan, like not even vegetarian.
Okay.
Or it might be, I don't know. But I know Nate Diaz eats a little bit of fish, from what I understand, but they both have opted out of that diet primarily because Nick Diaz discovered his body just doesn't react as well to meat. And when you look at his physique, and I'm into fitness and working out, lifting weights. Nick Diaz, as much as I love him, his physique sucks.
It's not great, but like
he has no muscle really.
But him and his brother's game was never like, I'm gonna fucking knock you out. It was like almost to what I like to call the Homer Simpson strategy. not to the fact where they're getting their ass kicked, but it's like that those guys are gonna be able to take a shit kick and at the same time they're going to deliver a shit kick.
Yes, but they're very technique driven. People like they're very technique driven. Their jiu-jitsu in boxing is it's more about accuracy, and then they train the endurance aspect because their game is outworking their opponent and volume, which again I love. And then like for instance another guy like Fedor, one of my favorite heavyweight fighters, and like again Fedor is like a kind of chubby guy. Like I mean I met Fedor, like I'm there at a seminar, and like I'm taller than Fedor, but he's obviously stockier, thicker, built to fight, and he's better, fast twitch muscle fiber. But even Fedor, I'm like, man, like you don't look like a superhero. Like like it's like I always keep like that's why when Kamaru Usman, who I don't actually like, but when he was a champion, I'm like that's actually the way I imagine an MMA fighter to look, right? Chisel out of stone, like can fight like 5 rounds, unlimited, perfect technique and everything. He was just corny though.
like a who would I say, like a Wonder Boy or Czech Congo. Czech Congo always had a good physique every time.
Yeah, Czech was awesome too. But he had holes in his game.
Yes, he did. And
he was an incomplete fighter.
It's
man.
crazy how with fighting you think best physique should win. Like that's just natural for us to see that. But then you see guys like Big Country, Roy Nelson, or Forrest Griffin, even
well, fuck it, even John Jones recently.
Jones,
like he looked fat to me, man.
He was
like
I would not call him fat to his face.
No,
I wouldn't even call him fat from a block away.
But you'll say it in a podcast where people
probably all hear. You can't find me, John. Well, you probably can't find me. Don't find me, John.
Yeah, no, he's more important things to beat. Oh, sorry.
Oh my god, that's gonna get edited. But yeah, some of my favorite fighters never had the bet. Like my favorite fighter of all time was Forrest Griffin, strictly because when I got into UFC was when the Ultimate Fighter first came up.
Did you Stephen Bonner passed away?
Right? I did hear that he passed away. God rest his soul. That was the fight that started it all, right?
It was Bonner. Apparently, the heart issue. He abused opioids, man. He got hooked on opioids bad after fighting ended, and he was doing wrestling for a bit with Phil Baroni. If you remember Phil Baroni, the New York badass.
Yeah.
Now Phil Baroni, it's been a tough time for those guys. Stefan died, heart issue, apparently, probably opioid related. And then, because he was badly hooked on like painkillers towards the end of his life. It's pretty sad. And then Phil Baroni right now he was arrested in Mexico because he was dating his girl and he murdered her in a rage.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
yeah. I think CT has a lot to do with it right now.
Well,
I'm thinking
yeah.
because he's not thinking straight now. He's in prison. Phil Baroni's done, man. Like he's
Oh,
he's
you don't
incarcerated
come
for the rest of
back
his
from
life.
that.
Yeah, and he looked like a shell of himself in some of those photos that the Mexican police found. I was like, holy fuck, that's Phil Baroni now. Like he just went through rough times, man. You know, and Phil Baroni unfortunately was never that smart with his money and shit. So I was like, Jesus Christ, you used to be the New York badass.
Yeah.
Like now you're
These guys, they
done.
need handlers. Like as soon as you make it to the big time, that should be your first move, I would think, is to find somebody who can handle you and your money, and not like give them access to your money or anything like that. But
who do you trust though? You know,
I mean,
something
it's
like
hard
that.
to trust anybody. Like I've heard the stories about like Frankie Muniz back in the day. His parents took a shit ton of his money, apparently.
Malcolm Middle Kid?
Yeah, Malcolm and the Middle
okay.
Kid. Like I think he was damn near bankrupt. Dane Cook, when he was huge,
His
his
brother
brothers
jacked him, yeah.
stole millions from him, apparently. And it's just like, if you can't trust your family,
Yeah.
you can only trust Justin Stevens.
Yeah. Hey Justin, on that note, we've gone over an hour here. I'm
nice.
gonna pull it here. I had a great time, buddy. Man, it's been great seeing you. Dude, when the bar's open, in the studios there, man, come on down. Fucking open arms for you.
Yeah,
always.
man.
Let's do another podcast out there.
Anytime, buddy. You just let me know.
All right, guys. Okay, perfect. Follow us on Instagram. I got all the updates for Kaks Bar and Podcast on there. We're on Spotify now. This episode will be available for audio only if you prefer just to listen. We're working on getting on Apple, so that's coming soon too. Otherwise, and we should be opening the bar in mid-April, early April. That's the goal here. But otherwise, everyone have a great night. And Justin, man, fucking this was a pleasure, man.
Catch me on Tinder.
Or Bumble. Okay. All right. Okay. Bye, everyone.
See ya.